Hello, everyone. My name is Seungjoon, and thank you for joining the session. I am a member of SAP HANA Product Management. In today's session, we will explain and introduce new capabilities with SAP HANA 2.0 SPS 7, especially in the area of data integration, including SDA, SDI, and SDQ. So let me start. So this is a general disclaimer, and today's agenda will be, I will explain the SAP HANA Smart Data Access SDA first, and then I will hand over to Venkat. Venkat will introduce and explain the new capabilities of SAP HANA SDI, Smart Data Integration, and Smart Data Quality. And before starting the SDA part, there is one additional disclaimer here. As you can see, please kindly note that the planned target release date of SDI and SDQ 2.7.0, also known as SPS 7, is 25th April 2023. So technically, it is not released yet, but it is planned on this day. So with that, let me jump into SAP HANA Smart Data Access, what's new capabilities. So first thing I would like to explain is new adapter certifications, which is only applicable for SAP HANA Platform 2.0. So as you may know, there is as a single source of truth, there is a SAP Note 2600176, where you can check all supported SDA remote sources. And actually, the IBM DB2 and Teradata has been already announced last year. But I would like to share them here again, since it is kind of delta between SPS 06 and SPS 07. And here, the Oracle data, newer version of Oracle database support is a completely new one. So here, as you can see, all those three newer versions of databases are now supported. And the good news is, as you can see here, it also supports in the previous versions, like, for example, DB2 11.5, it is supported from SPS 5, revision 56 or later, and Teradata 16.10 and 17.10 has been supported from SPS 05, revision 59. And here, as I mentioned, a newer version, Oracle 12.c is now supported from SPS 05, revision 59 or later. So following bullets are general information and disclaimer, which you can also see in the SAP note. But here I would like to emphasize one thing, here, the last one. The supported scope of the capability as a remote source is basically the same as the previous versions. So basically, the reason behind is it is basically for securing existing customers' investment. So supported scope remains same. So here is, for example, SDA does not support the new data type introduced in Oracle 21c, which is JSON. So that's described in this example, those kind of new capabilities introduced in the third-party vendors will not be supported. So that's the quick update regarding the adapter certifications. And the next feature I would like to introduce is virtualizing parameterized SQL views when the remote source is SAP HANA. So technically, it is not completely new one. As you can see here, it has been already supported, starting with SAP HANA Cloud QRC 04 2021. But now it is downported to SAP HANA Platform 2.0 SPS 07. So with that, users now can pass parameters to the corresponding remote parameterized SQL view to retrieve data. And as you can see here, the way of using the virtual parameterized SQL view is basically the same as general virtual table. So it shares the same SQL syntax, which means you can use the same way, refreshing or deleting the virtual tables or virtual parameterized SQL view with the same syntax. And since it shares the same syntax, check underscore virtual underscore tables can also be used to check the inconsistency between the definition of local and remote side. So with that, let me share a quick and simple example here. So as you can see here, for example, on the remote side, you can create a simple parameterized SQL view like this. 3 input parameters. One is embutcher, another one is also embutcher, but default is just a string, empty string, and also integer as a default value with 0. Then it will just concat 2 embutcher values and then add 100 to the integer and show it. So it's quite a simple example. And then on the local side, you can create a virtual parameterized SQL view like this. So as I mentioned, using the same syntax, create virtual table, virtual VPSB here in the same way, and you can use it by specifying all parameters, or you can specifying in this example only one parameter, and for other two you can use the default values. So here are some screenshots. So in the left side, you can see the source system or remote system. Here is a parameterized SQL view, and you can see it receives 2 input parameters as embutcher and concat them, and also get 1 integer and add 100 here. In the in the target side or local side, here you can see create a virtual table, and you can use the same syntax and retrieve the data in the remote side. And with this capability, we introduced new columns in 2 system views for monitoring. So one is virtual underscore tables, which will show you the has underscore parameters column where you can see the true or false value. And also there is a more system monitoring view, the virtual underscore table parameters, which will provide the detailed information about the parameters. So benefits are obviously, we expect increased flexibility and reduced efforts when using SAP HANA remote sources, and in some specific scenarios, and from an application perspective, the static SQL coding can be avoided. And last but not least, there are some limitations, which are actually the same as HANA Cloud. So table variable, array, or ciphertext cannot be used as input parameters. And with the remote clause is not supported when you create a virtual table. And during the exporting catalog and remote data, this virtual parameters SQL view will be skipped. So there will be no error. It will be just implicitly skipped. And the last one is not technically limitation, but as I mentioned, there is no impact actually for using the default values in this case. But when you check the system monitoring view I just explained, virtual underscore table parameters, there will be has underscore default underscore value column, which will always show false, even though there are default values. So, but as mentioned, using default value is completely supported, but this is only display issues in the monitoring view. So you can simply ignore this. So this is just for your information. So this is a quick update regarding the smart data access. With that, let me hand over to Venkat.
Thank you, Seungjoon. Can you please confirm if my voice is loud and clear?
Yes.
Thank you. And you can see my screen. Seungjoon, you can see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Now I'll walk you through SDI Delta from SPS 06 to SPS 07, all the features that we delivered over the last course of 1 year. Again, I just want to reiterate what Seungjoon mentioned about the SDI release. SDI release is independent of HANA release cycle. The RTC for DP Agent 2.7.0 is planned for end of this month, which is around April 25th. Standard SAP disclaimer applies here. The information in this presentation is not a commitment, promise, or any legal obligation to deliver any material code or any functionality. This presentation is informational purpose only. Now I'll walk you through all the new functionalities that we delivered in SDI, and then I will go over the STQ functionalities. The update is about the documentation. We published best practices and sizing guidelines for SAP Smart Data integration to our SAP. It provides the guidelines for deployment of SDI, such as agent group, and link presence. And it has implementation guidelines for implementing replication transformation tasks for SDI deployment. This includes the guidelines on the task partitioning, target table partitioning, and remote sources. We also have a section on SDI operation. So these operation guidelines provide about operating and maintaining your SDI landscape, including exception handling and monitoring performance. And the last is about sizing of agent and target HANA. So we provided the guide on sizing the target HANA instance as well as the DP agent host systems. So this is now published into our SAP HANA Smart Data and Quality Central portal. In the next few slides, I will walk you through the enhancements we did in the data provisioning agent, and then I will walk you through the enhancements we did it in the adapters. I will start with the data provisioning agent enhancements. In the past, change or real-time replication was not certified with DP agent installed on IBM Power LE64-bit machine. We only supported the batch replication. Now this restriction has been removed. We added support for change data capture with DP agent installed on Power LE64-bit platforms. So all the adapters that currently support real-time replication or CDC supports the real-time replication with DP agent installed on Power LE64-bit platform. This functionality is supported with DP agent 2.62 or later. The next enhancement is again for the DP agent. We added new parameters for the DP agent framework. Based on the product support tickets we have received or on multiple issues, we added some new optional parameters to control the push down of for performance tuning and debugging. These parameters are configurable in the DP agent config.ini for the DP agent framework. These parameters help in enabling and disabling the of certain functions. In the past, we supported some functions. Now we added support for 2 functions, which is these parameters are optional parameters. They the first one is to control of case expression. It can be used for a single adapter or multiple adapter. And the next one is to control the push down of 2 decimal functions. Again, this can be applied for individual or multiple adapters. If you want to specify the multiple, you can separate those adapters. You can just use a comma separated values and mention the adapters here if you want to use it for multiple adapters. And this requires the manual update of DP agent config.ini. Once you update these parameters, it requires you need to restart the DP agent. Again, these parameters are supported as of DP agent 2.62 or later. The advantage of the benefit of these parameters is helps in debugging or performance tuning. The next enhancement is a security related enhancement, again at the DP agent related enhancement. With SP7, we added X509 certificate based authentication with JDBC connections. JDBC is supported with different HANA deployments, HANA Cloud, DWC, now which is SAP Data Sphere, HANA service running on Cloud Foundry or HANA on-premise. So SDI does not differentiate the HANA deployment. Basically, it is independent of HANA, so you can connect to any HANA deployment. So with all the HANA support the JDBC connection, we now added X509 certificate-based authentication. Basically, X509 certificate-based authentication can be used for the technical users to secure the system-to-system integration. So user can configure X509 certificate via the DP agent config tool, as you can see in the screenshots. The X509 is stored in the secure storage of DP agent. So the users can update the X509 certificate in DP agent. When the certificate is updated, expired, or it requires an update, you can just use the config tool to update the certificate, the expired certificate, or whenever you have a new certificate, then you can update it. So there are certain prerequisites before you use this X509 certificate-based authentication. In order to get the X509 certificate for the HANA user, you need to contact your administrator. So if you're using HANA admin, if you need HANA admin X509 certificate, so the admin user X509 certificate need to be used. You can also you can contact the HANA administrator to get X509 identity and issuer if you want to create a new HANA user for agent messaging. So if you want to use a new HANA user for agent messaging, you can contact your administrator to get the identity and issuer information that you need to configure in the DP agent. The next enhancement is again for DP agent, add into the DP agent. This enhancement is for troubleshooting the agent connection issues. While troubleshooting the agent connection issues, both SAP product support teams and customers needed a standalone tool to test whether they could set up a connection with HANA Cloud or HANA on-premise without using the DP agent. So with upcoming 2.7.0 agent release, you will see a new utility with agent installation that is called connection test util. So you can use the standalone tool to test the connection outside of the DP agent. So this utility uses the configuration as you specify in SDI files to connect to the HANA. So it will also allows for the continuous test of connection to simulate the SDI usage the same way that SDI connect to the HANA. So you can test the SDI connection parameters and the stability of connection using this utility. These are some examples I just put together here, couple examples to use this tool. If you look at the first example, in this example, we are making a connection, two connections, and each connection will try 10 times in sequence, one after the other. And the second example, we are making two connections. Each connections will try 10 times, and each connection will run in its own thread. So one is running in a sequence mode and one is running in a parallel mode. So basically you can simulate your SDI agent connection to HANA without using agent. You can test this and figure out where the issue is. This is for the troubleshooting the JDBC connection issues. Yeah, in the next slides, I will walk you through the adapter related enhancements. We certified the new version of software to stay current with the industry standards and the new versions. We certified PostgreSQL log reader adapter with Greenplum 6.x, Camel JDBC adapter with Vertical 11. We certified Teradata adapter with Teradata 17.10. In order to use functionalities, this new certifications, you need to be on Gen 2.6.2 or later. The next is about enhancements we did for the Microsoft SQL Server Log Reader Adapter. Microsoft SQL Log Reader Adapter, we added a new remote source parameter called validate certificate to ensure the SDI is communicating with the correct SQL server. This parameter control the MS SQL JDBC connection property trust server certificate. By setting this true, it validates the host name in the SSL certificate. By default, it is false. When you set to true, it validates the host name in your SSL certificate. The value of this parameter can be changed when the remote source is suspended. So you can change only when you suspend the remote source, and then you after you change it. This parameters helps in enhanced security, which involves a server identity check to ensure is talking to the right server. The next enhancement is again with Microsoft SQL Server Log Reader Adapter. We currently support connecting to Microsoft Azure Data Explorer using Microsoft SQL Server Log Reader Adapter. We already support this connection. What in this release is basically we added a support for connecting to ADX through an authenticated proxy. So proxy authentication enables you to configure the authentication method used by your proxy. So if you're using a company proxy with username and password authentication for the DP agent to connect to the ADX, so we create an option in the DP agent to configure the proxy with username and password. So in the DP agent config tool, you can configure the DP agent HTTPS proxy authentication, and you can provide your proxy host name and the port number, and you can authenticate with user proxy username and password. So the benefits of this enhancement is again, it provides a strong security and authenticated request to the proxy server. And this option enables to configure the authentication with your SQL server with the ADX using the proxy. Again, this option is supported with DP agent 2.6.1 or later. So if you upgrade to the latest agent, you get all these enhancements. The next enhancement is done for both SQL Server Log Reader Adapter and Oracle Log Reader Adapter. This is also supported functionality. We support maintenance user filter. Now we enhance this to support multiple users for this. So what does this parameter do? Whenever the source database transactions like insert, update, delete, and DDL changes like alter table conducted by any maintenance users on the source side are ignored and not propagated to the target HANA. Currently, we support only one maintenance user. So what our customers reported that the databases that they replicate data into HANA uses multiple maintenance user IDs to purge the data out of different tables nightly for each applications that run on this database. So sometimes the purge volume goes into millions at once, and it causes the upsert in HANA to take an extremely long time to compute and lag behind significantly. That ultimately causes to SDI to unable to catch up to the real time. So having this option to have more than one maintenance user ID per remote source will help in filter out all unwanted source database transactions to help improve the performance and reducing the risk of significant replication lag times. So the benefits is it also allows if you have only if you support only one maintenance user IDs, then technically what you need to do is you need to create multiple remote sources with each maintenance user ID. Instead, now with this option, you can specify multiple users here. That way, you don't need to create multiple remote sources. So again, if you want to specify multiple users, it changes by your source. For MS SQL, separate users with a backslash, and for Oracle, separate users with a double quote. And this functionality with the multiple maintenance users is supported with DP Agent 2.6.3 or later. Again, the benefit is to improve the performance and reduce risk of replication lag times. The next enhancement is done for the SAP HANA and MS SQL log reader adapter. We are now supporting the push down of dynamic filters. We already supported this for Oracle in SP6 release. Now with Delta of SP6, we started adding this functionalities for HANA and MS SQL log reader adapter. So push the dynamic filters was not supported in the past. Now you can push down the dynamic filters used in virtual tables, replication tasks, or flow graphs for HANA, MS SQL log reader, and Oracle. And those dynamic filters can be pushed down to the source. So if if you want to verify whether the dynamic filters have been pushed down or not, you can see the push down of dynamic filters in the DP agent framework trace log. So if you see in the screenshot, you can see this push down filter, what we're using has been pushed to the source. In case if you don't see this functionality after upgrading to the agent 2.6.2 or later, make sure you refresh the adapter after upgrading the agent. And sometimes you might need to recreate the virtual table also to make sure the push down is happening. Yeah, and saying this, while we saw the push down for SAP HANA and MS SQL log reader and Oracle, there might be certain instances where push down doesn't happen because push down is not a SDI functionality. It is handled by other factors like HANA SQL Optimizer. SQL Optimizer is one who decides or determines whether to push down a function or not. So if HANA SQL Optimizer does not push down, it is out of SDI. But we kind of implemented this functionality. Most of the dynamic filters now should be pushed down. And as I mentioned, this functionality is supported with DP Agent 2.6.2 or later. The next enhancement is again a security related enhancement that we did for the MS SQL log reader adapter. So with MS SQL log reader adapter, now we are supporting connecting to SQL Server with Kerberos authentication. So we added set of to the remote source configuration to support connecting to SQL Server with Kerberos authentication. So when you want to use a Kerberos authentication, you select the authentication type to the Kerberos. That will enable multiple options for connecting to the Kerberos. If you're using the Kerberos authentication to connect to the SQL Server, you will see the authentication going through service principal. When you select the Kerberos authentication, you need to enter the realm. Realm is basically you're authenticating using a principal from the realm instead of the system's default realm. So if you don't want to use your system default realm and you have defined a separate realm for the SDI to connect to the SQL Server, you define that realm instead of using the system default. So you're specifying the technical users realm here. So the realm option must be used together with KDC, which is Kerberos distribution key distribution center. So these together go. So you need to mention the address of technical users KDC to be specified realm. So these two must go together. You need to provide the service principal name, which is also called SPN. to use this Kerberos authentication. Then you have an option by default, use key tab is false, or ticket cache is also false. But if you want to use key tab, set it to true. When you set it to true, you want basically you want the module to get the technical user's key from the key tab. The default is always false. When you set the key tab to true, then you need to mention the technical user's key tab. Then you have also option for using the ticket cache. You can set it to true if you want the ticket granting ticket, which is also called TGT, to be obtained from the ticket cache. So if you want to obtain from the TGT from the ticket cache, you set this option to true, and you use the ticket cache information here. And I have not included the username, credentials, username, and password. For Kerberos, you also have two more parameters where you need to specify the username and password. So these will appear only when you select the authentication type Kerberos. This will be supported with the DP Agent 2.7.0. And again, the benefits of this is it provides a highly secure method to connect the client and server and titles on a network. The next enhancement is for HANA adapter. So in the next two slides, we will see some enhancement done for the HANA adapter. We added a new remote source option to capture full images before full before images for delete operations. So there is a new parameter called capture full before images. You need to, by default it is false, but if you need to set it to true. If you set it to true, this specifies a trigger capture full before images for delete operations on the remote table. For all the delete happening on the remote table, you can capture the before images. So when you set this true, the primary key triggers record the primary key option needs to be set to true as well. Again, this option is supported with DP Agent 2.6.1.1 or later. So the benefit is you can capture the full before images for all the delete operations happening on the remote source. The next is again for the HANA adapter. I know many of our customers reported that when they want to do the real-time replication from HANA Cloud to HANA Cloud, since SDI is not a cloud solution because SDI needs a DP agent installed somewhere on premise. We have supported the replication in batch mode from cloud to cloud, but we have not supported the real-time replication getting from HANA Cloud to HANA Cloud. Now with upcoming 2.7.0 DP agent release, we are going to support replicating the data in real time from VM close to your source HANA Cloud. You can replicate the data from HANA Cloud to HANA Cloud in real time. So this eliminates the need for doing it batch or uploading in a batch windows for incremental loading in the target system. Now we support the real-time replication from HANA Cloud to HANA Cloud. The next enhancement is for the DB2 log reader adapter. With the DB2 log reader adapter, we added some remote source configuration parameters to minimize the applier delays for the optimized real-time performance. We added this new remote source parameter for handling the update records. This parameter specifies the method to use when handling update records to minimize the applier delays in certain scenarios. So when you select this option update, the adapter sends an update. When you select an option to upsert, it uses upsert instead of an update. You use this upsert option if there are no changes on the primary key columns for the tables in your remote source. Same thing with delete and upsert. The adapter sends, when you select this option, the adapter sends delete and upsert instead of an update. Again, use this option if there are changes on the primary key column for the table on your remote source. The default value is always update. So you can use the delete plus upsert or upsert. Only there are no primary changes. There are primary changes on the primary key columns on the tables in your remote source. Again, this option is available with the DP Agent 2.6.1 or later. Again, the next option, we talked about row handling for update records. Now we'll talk about row handling for insert records. We added again a new option for row handling for insert records. This parameter specifies the method to use when handling the insert records. Insert is a default option. When you select this option, the adapter sends insert. When you select upsert, the adapter sends upsert instead of insert. Again, this option is also added to minimize applier delays for optimized real-time performance with DB2 log-rated adapter. This option is supported with the DP Agent 2.6.3 or later. So as I mentioned before, all these functionalities, you can get it if you install the latest. So when 2.7.0 is released, when you upgrade to DP Agent 2.7.0, you will get all the enhancements that were delivered in the last few releases of the DP Agent. The next feature is for the enhancement is for the SAP ASC LTL adapter. With SAP ASC LTL adapter remote source configuration, we added new parameter group called schema alias replacements. So the schema alias replacement group has two options: schema alias and schema alias replacement. These are available in the remote source configuration for some data provisioning adapters already. What these options does is, these options allows you to switch easily between the schema, remote sources, and the tables. The schema alias, what you see is the name of the schema in the table system, and the schema alias replacement is the name of the schema in the table system that replaces the schema alias. So a common use case is when you create a remote source pointing to a development database, then you create virtual tables under that particular development remote source. Afterwards, you may want to switch to the production database without needing to create the new virtual tables. So the same tables exist in both development database as well as production database, but under different schema and databases. In that case, you can use a schema alias and schema alias replacement. Again, these options are supported with ASC LTL adapter with DP Agent 2.6.2 or later. So this option allows you to switch easily between your schema, remote sources, and tables. The next enhancement we have done is for the ABAP adapter. For ABAP adapter, we added a new data provisioning parameter to fetch the complete and non-truncated data for XML. So when you are using, when you're getting the data out of extractors sometimes contain the fields of undefined length. Without this parameter, when you try to fetch the data of that XML can be truncated unexpectedly. So now this parameter fetch XML data provisioning parameter helps you. If you turn this on, it helps you to fetch the complete and non-truncated data. This option is available as a virtual table property. When you create a virtual table property through a SQL, you can use this remote data provisioning property to fetch the XML, complete XML to true. And this option is also possible to set it at the when you create a remote subscription through a SQL. You can specify this option as well to set it to true. And if you want to set this option in replication task, in the replication task, when you go to the custom parameters tab, you can set this option to use XML fetch to true. So these are different ways to set this option. And most likely, if you set this option, you will generally set this option at the replication task level. Then you can directly go to the UI and set it. But if you want to do it through a SQL, it is possible to do through the create virtual table or create remote subscription SQLs. This option can be added as a data provisioning parameters. So the benefit is when you are fetching the data in XML format from extractors and those fields that with undefined length, you can get the whole XML string without any truncation. The next enhancement is for OData adapter. With OData adapter, we added multiple options again in the OData remote source configuration. This is not dependent on the DP agent because OData adapter is directly available at the data provisioning server level, and it is available on the HANA. You don't really need any update for the basically I mentioned 2.6.3, but technically this is DP server available on the DP server. So what we have done in this enhancement is we have added now you have an option now to connect. At the same time, we also added HTTP connection timeout. Now you can specify by default the default value for the HTTP connection timeout is 900, which is 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. Now, if this option is configurable, if you want to increase it or decrease it, you can mention the HTTP connection timeout in seconds. The next enhancement is for the DB2 adapter. With the DB2, with Oracle SQL Server, we started supporting both log-based and trigger-based replication. So you use the same log-based adapters as Oracle log-reader adapter or SQL log-reader adapter. We kind of provided a switch to change the log-reader adapter from a log-based replication to trigger-based replication. Similarly, we have enhanced the DB2 log-reader adapter in the upcoming 2.7.0 release to use both log and trigger-based replication. So now the DB2 with 2.7.0 DB2 log reader adapter supports trigger-based replication as well. The functionality is same like any trigger-based replication. So unlike the log reader functionality, which reads the remote database log to get the change data, trigger-based replication is based on the triggers capturing the change data. So then the adapter continuously queries the source database, what you see in the screens, like source database to get the change data. When a table is subscribed to replicate, the adapter creates 3 triggers: insert, delete, and update on the table for capturing the data. The adapter also creates a shadow table for the subscribed table. Except the few columns for supporting the replication, the shadow table has the same columns as it is in the replicated table. the triggers record the change data in the shadow table. For each adapter that is remote source, the adapter creates a trigger queue table. Trigger queue table to mimic a queue. Basically, it mimics a queue. Each row in the shadow table has a corresponding element or a placeholder in the queue. The adapter continuously scans the queue elements and corresponding shadow table rows. It scans the queue elements and the shadow table rows to get the change data and replicate them to the target HANA database. So you can use the same DB2 log reader adapter, whatever currently we support for the log-based replication, and you select the capture mode as a trigger. So you have now the options to use log-based replication or the trigger-based replication. So you can use the same functionality. Say you'll get the same functionality as a log application with some limitations in 2.7.0. For the initial release of 2.7.0 that we support for the DB2 log trigger-based replication, certain functionalities are currently not supported in trigger-based replication, but these are only for the initial release. With the upcoming patches of 2.7, we will be addressing all those gaps. So the trigger-based approach is supported only with DB2 log reader adapter. So if you remember, for every database adapter, we also have a ECC adapter. For the DB2 ECC adapter, the trigger-based replication is not supported. Trigger-based replication is only supported with DB2 log reader adapter. So there are certain functionality, as I mentioned, there are certain gaps in the initial release. The DDL propagation or the schema change is not supported in the initial release. We will fill that gap in the upcoming releases. And the maintenance user filter is not supported in the DB2 trigger-based replication right now. We also support this compound triggers, which is the statement level triggers. Currently, it is not supported with the trigger-based replication, but we will close these gaps soon. So again, when you use a trigger-based replication, just like the way you use a log-based replication, you need to connect to the DB2 host, and then you configure all the trigger-based related options. So these are some of the options that are impacted by the trigger base. You need to configure these options, and it is currently the functionality is same as what you see with the SQL Server or Oracle or even HANA or Teradata, where we support the trigger-based replication right now. And this functionality will be supported with DP Agent 2.7.0, the upcoming release. And the next enhancement we did with CDI Adapter, which is a cloud data integration adapter. We supported CDI Adapter for, in the past, we supported the CDI Adapter for S4 HANA, BW for HANA, DWC, or now it is SAP DataSphere deployments. Now we certified the adapter for HANA Cloud as well. So in the past, it was not certified for the HANA Cloud deployments. Now with upcoming 2.7.0 release, we are going to certify the CDI adapter with HANA Cloud. So with CDI adapter, you can connect to cloud sources that expose CDI interface and replicate the data to HANA Cloud in both batch or real time. You register the CDI adapter with HANA Cloud instance, and then you specify the CDI host and the service endpoint to connect to the CDI adapter. So it supports both the batch and real-time replication. The real-time, in order to use a real-time replication, the Delta enabled annotation need to be set on the entity metadata. For the CDI views, those needs to be Delta enabled, and that needs to be set in the entity set metadata. So the benefits, again, now you can use the CDI adapter to retrieve the data from CDI endpoints for any cloud sources that support the CDI interface. Again, now it is supported with S4 HANA, BW for HANA, SAP DataSphere. Now we are also supporting for HANA Cloud. With this, all the enhancements completed for SDI. These are some major enhancements, and we also done many, fixed many known issues, which you can see with the release note on the known issues that we fixed in 2.7.0. Now I'll walk you through some of the enhancement we did for the smart data quality. This is independent of SDI because smart data quality is available only on HANA Cloud. This is available with all the enhancement for SDQ would be available with the HANA SPS 07 release. With SDQ, we made some changes for the Russian address directory updates. Russia has changed its address system from FIAS, which is Federal Information System. It is also called FIAS, to GAR, which is a state address register. So they changed the address system from FIAS to GAR. This forced us to make some enhancement to our directories as well as to our software. So the state address register, or the GAR, defines two address formats. One address format for the tax purposes and one for the administrative address format and a municipal address format. So for the tax purposes, they define two formats. One is administrative address format and municipal address format. So Russia directory that comes with smart data quality includes both formats support, and this is supported by the cleanse transform. So the cleanse transform returns an output field that identifies which format it assigned to. So what you see here is just an input for the Russian address input. Now, whatever you see on the screen is for the library level. Now it returns multiple address formats for GAR. All these options in the highlighted, all these highlighted data, what you see here, you will see this data in standard additional info cleanse output fields. So we have standardized address additional info output fields. All this data, what you see here, will be available in those output fields. It supports multiple output fields, some 1 to 7 or 10. I don't remember exactly. All these fields will be reported in that standard additional info output fields. So why we do this enhancement? We generally, whenever there is a address changes or country specific postal changes, we need to be in compliant with those changes. We try to stay current with the country specific postal addresses and their taxation requirements. So now our Russian directory, address directory, supports these new fields. And the last one for the SDQ in smart data quality for HANA Cloud as well as on-premise, we supported a new transform called Data Quality Management Cleanse Transform, DQMM transform. So this was supported in SPS 6. So basically you use this transform if you want to cleanse the data using our standalone data quality management microservices that is available as a Neo-based and Cloud Foundry service on SAP. And if you want to use that service to cleanse the data without subscribing to the directories, you can use that DQMM cleanse. So we have customers who has the directories, who subscribe to the directories and use the cleanse transform, what you see here. And cleanse, geocode, and match is currently supported only for HANA on-premise, and for the HANA only DQMM cleanse is supported. So this is what you see is a HANA on-premise installation where you support both the DQMM cleanse and the cleanse geocode and matching. But in HANA Cloud, only DQMM cleanse is supported because the cleanse, geocoding, and matching requires the address directories to be on that is not possible for HANA Cloud, we support with this DQMM cleanse, where you send your data to a standalone cloud service to cleanse it and get the data back. So for the DQMM cleanse transform, what we have done is we added a support for geocoding for the Japanese addresses. So as you can see in the screen, when you come up with a Japanese address, without the latitude and longitude information. Basically, it's just a Japanese address without any latitude or longitude information. So what we can do is with this input data, we can generate the latitude and longitude. So we can give accurate geolocation information with Japanese addresses. So this is not supported in the DQMM cleanse before. Now we are supporting with that new enhancement. We support this geolocation, accurate geolocation for the Japanese addresses. With this, I will end the enhancements for both SDI and SDQ. And thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, please reach out to Seungjoon Lee for SDI specific questions, or you can reach out to me for SDI specific questions or specific questions. I think that's all. I conclude now this session. Thomas, back to you.